Jenn.
You can have whatever you
Jenn. Jenny.
Yeah.
Take off your shoes. Fuck it. Hi, Jenn.
Please don't take
Jen's
your
gonna
shoes
tell
off.
us a fucking
Coke on
mystery, dude.
ice.
Oh, you fucked up putting us on the couch.
Why does this always happen
Yeah,
to
take
me?
fuck the socks, dude. Take the shirt off.
Welcome back, Mystery Seekers. I hope you liked last week's video from Taylor. Super interesting. This week, I'm going to be telling you guys about the story of Brian Shaffer. Brian was a 27-year-old med student at Ohio State University. And on Friday, March 31st, 2006, Brian had gone to dinner with his dad and his brother to celebrate their exams being over. You know, his dad had described him as being fatigued that night, but he said it was kind of understandable because they had just gone through exams.
He's a med student.
I know.
Tired all the time.
You know,
always.
staying up, studying, and
Of course.
so it was, you know, not completely out of character for him to be a little bit tired. After parting ways with his family, Brian met up with some friends to go bar hopping, again, in celebration. He first met up with his friend William Clint, so I'm gonna refer to him as Clint from now on, around 10 p.m. at the Ugly Tuna Saloona. And I kind of love the name of the bar. And I think it was kind of near campus, so it was a pretty popular bar because they had cheap drinks and it was just kind of easy to get to from the school. Now, their plan was to end the night in the Arena District, which housed a lot of bars and restaurants. I think it actually just had the sports arena in the area, so there was a lot of other stuff around it and was a really popular place for people to go partying and spend their nights. This was about a 40-minute walk from the Ugly Tuna, so Brian and Clint planned to bar hop the whole way. So they had stopped at bars along the route and they would go in, order a shot, close out and leave, and then make their way to the next bar and just do that until they got to the Arena District. When they finally got there, I think they had gotten one drink. I think they did kind of the same thing, and then decided to catch a ride with Clint's friend Meredith, who they met up with in the area. And they wanted to go back to the Ugly Tuna for one drink before last call. Because at this point, it was pretty late. I mean, they met up around 10. So they would have gotten to the Arena District if it was a 40-minute walk and they were stopping along the way. They would have gotten there pretty late. By the time they got to the Ugly Tuna at the end of the night, security footage shows them coming up the escalator. So it looked like the Ugly Tuna was on the second floor of this building. So you would have to go up the escalators, and then there was a security camera actually showing the escalator area and the kind of landing right outside of the bar. You don't see the bar doors, so when anyone walks off camera, kind of underneath the camera, it's assumed that it's going into the bar. The footage shows them coming up the escalators around 1:15 a.m. and it was the three of them. While they were in the very busy bar that night, they ended up getting separated, but Clint said that Brian at one point had gone to talk to the guys that were playing there in the band after they had finished their set. And Brian was described as really having a passion for live music and kind of having almost two personalities, being, you know, very serious about his schooling and being a med student and becoming a doctor, and also having this extreme passion and almost desire to be in a band. So I think those are pretty different things. I mean, one is a little bit, you know, more of an unstructured lifestyle, I guess, and being a doctor is very serious and important. Because they had gotten separated in the bar, Clint attempted to call Brian multiple times, because if they got there at 1 a.m, assuming last call was around 2, they didn't have much time before they all had to leave. And he wasn't able to get in touch with his friend. So at 2 a.m, when the bar is closing, Clint and Meredith ended up being ushered out with the rest of the bar crowd, and they still hadn't located Brian. They ended up waiting around outside of the bar to see if they could find him. Maybe he had left and walked down the street and was going to come back for them, but they didn't end up seeing him again that night, and they assumed he just went home. So they ended up leaving. Brian was only reported missing on Monday morning after he failed to board his flight to Miami. I'm pretty sure this trip he was actually supposed to be taking with his girlfriend. I read somewhere that it was assumed he was going to be proposing to her on this trip, which makes this whole thing so devastating. The last time that Brian was seen on the security footage was at 1:55 a.m. Now, remember, the footage shows right outside of the entrance to the bar and shows the escalators. So it shows anyone coming up and going in, also shows everyone leaving and going down and then leaving the building. The last time he was seen was at 1:55 a.m., standing right outside of the bar, talking to two women, and then re-entering the bar. No one ever saw him leave. There's no footage of him leaving that bar. There was one other non-public entrance to the building. That entrance was also kind of covered by like a lot of construction that was going on. So it wasn't easily accessible to begin with, let alone to someone who would have had been drinking all night.
Yeah.
Taking multiple shots at multiple bars, having a lot of drinks, being fairly intoxicated. It wouldn't have been easy to access or find or navigate because of the construction. And most people wouldn't have even known about that back entrance anyway. So he was never seen leaving the bar, and all of the other buildings in the area that do have CCTV footage outside never caught him on the street. So it's strange that he was seen going in but never seen coming out, never seen anywhere ever again. And the only theory that I really saw was that perhaps he had changed his clothes at some point inside of the bar and then left. So even if he was seen on footage, it wouldn't have been in what they had already seen him in or what his friends described him as wearing that night. Yeah. Maybe he was dressed in something completely different and did leave, but they didn't see anyone matching his description when they looked over the footage.
So when did the band leave, do you know?
I don't know. It didn't say exactly what time, but so if they
Thinking
were
murderous
there...
band too?
No. I was thinking he finally went for the dream, man.
Yeah,
He was
ran away from
roadie?
his very
Yeah.
structured, serious life
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
kind of was like,
He wanted to
take
be a
me
roadie.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's a weird theory.
Yeah.
If he had changed, switched shirts
I was
to
thinking he was
someone.
more so he was stuffed inside the bass drum case. But could be that
Damn.
too.
Wow.
No, I mean-
that is so dark. Oh my God. I didn't think of that. I don't know. So I've seen a couple of other things where people were like, maybe someone guided him out that back entrance. They had perhaps made him change his shirt and guided him out that back entrance and kidnapped him essentially. But he was last seen with two women.
And he went back into the bar. Where'd they go?
They went with him. He went with them.
Okay, where was the construction?
It was in the back entrance.
Yeah.
So it was
right around the
and
back
what you mean
entrance,
by that, there's some kind of a pathway to that door that is under construction.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like anyone had photos or anything of
What that means.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I honestly don't have a description of that area. The only thing that I could find was that there's a back entrance and then was construction,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much it.
Can we see the video? We should probably check that out. He's about to propose to his girlfriend the next day.
And he goes back in.
5 minutes to the bar closing. That's so interesting. It just seems like such a weird, because you start to think about theories and then you realize like, well, he's this med student who's like about to propose to his girlfriend and he's got all this stuff going on.
Oh, he has everything going for him. I mean, they just finished exams. It's spring break. He's about to go to Miami. He has all of these plans, and he goes inside of this bar and is never seen again.
Who was William again?
William Clint, that was his friend that he met up
Oh,
with that
Clint.
night.
Okay.
Then why did it say Randy and Meredith?
Randy? They might have had someone else with them.
It said Randy Shaffer, his brother, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, he had been with his brother and his father earlier that night when they went to dinner.
Gotcha. So it was from that stuff. Gotcha. Well, I mean, why would that even matter?
Clint says he doesn't want to take the lie detector test. Everybody else takes it and passes it. But I haven't heard anything so far that would make me go, oh yeah, Clint, that's a weird guy. He sounds
and
like
Clint was with Meredith.
Yeah. Oh, was with Meredith. So, right, because they leave together.
Yeah.
And then Brian stays.
Yeah.
And so that
that
last
night,
footage,
like they all three of them showed up. They got separated from Brian.
Oh, right.
Clint tries to call him. He's with Meredith in the bar, and then they just can't find him.
Yeah.
After they got separated inside, they couldn't find him again.
And then he is hanging out with these two women.
Yep. Yeah, it's very odd. It's really creepy to me because you see him go in and then you don't see him come out. That was it. That was all of the footage that they had of him.
Yeah, and it would be really hard to say that he went out the back entrance or that he was overpowered by those two women. I don't think that's the case at all.
I don't either. That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. If he's going to be proposing to his girlfriend, then it doesn't make sense that he's going out to bars, cheating with women, and running away with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a possibility that he liked live music that much and somehow did sneak out with the band, but
He just kind of wanted to like throw his life away and start over somewhere else.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
the
then
pressure
again,
got to him.
the band might not have stayed until 2 a.m. I don't know. I guess a lot of the shows that I've been to, the band will sit and drink until the end of the night
Yep.
and hang out with people.
Me
so
too.
it's a possibility that maybe he ditched his friends, started hanging out with the band. The band was hanging out with these women. They're all hanging out, and he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then they all go out through the back entrance where maybe the band came in.
Maybe they loaded in.
Right. That's the only theory that makes sense in my mind.
They could have
Without
even
knowing
just
the
invited
construction,
him
though.
to party with them.
Even that.
Maybe it wasn't something so, deep as him running away.
Yeah, that's
but,
true.
They were just like, oh, you want to keep hanging out with us? You want to come party? And
Yeah, because that would make sense if he just got so enamored with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, then you have to think, well, he goes over to talk to the band. Why doesn't he come back to his friends after that?
right.
He must have, something had to have happened.
I mean, because I feel like a lot of us have at least that one friend who we go out with them
Oh, yeah.
and they get drunk and they disappear.
Yeah.
And they end up doing something else, and maybe you find them later, but maybe you don't.
Yep.
And you just kind of assume, well, that's my friend that usually runs away when they're drunk and they're always fine.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows someone like that.
Yeah.
So maybe Brian was like that to his friends, and they tried calling him to say, where are you? Are you still here? We're gonna get going. They don't hear from him. They wait. They don't see him. They head home. Figure, he's a grown man. He'll probably figure it out. But if he was drunk and decided to go, there's even a chance if they didn't see him leaving in the same clothes that he was wearing, maybe he got a t-shirt from the band. It was like
Yeah.
a literal band t-shirt that they were selling that night.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bands have merchandise.
Yeah.
So maybe he went and he got a band t-shirt and wanted to wear it right then and got invited to go party with them, and that's why you don't see him leaving in the same clothes, is because he put on a different t-shirt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, so even if he did go with the band, why would he never contact anybody or
Right.
show up anywhere? Yeah.
Some of these comments on Reddit, a lot of the people on Reddit are really leaning towards him dying in the construction zone because that's the only thing that they think makes sense.
I mean, that part does make sense too. But again, yeah, without knowing exactly what kind of construction we're talking about, I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, I wish there was more concrete information about the construction zone, just so we would have a better idea of what might have been in there for him to get mortally injured.
Yeah.
So it says, from memory, there was a band playing at the tune that night who would likely have used the back door when packing up their instruments. Does anyone know if anything came of the musicians whom Brian purportedly befriended that night?
I wish there was video of the band, because if it was a construction zone, the band wouldn't have been loading and unloading there. They would have had to have used the front door. I mean, I've been at plenty of venues where like there's, you know, one entrance isn't accessible, so the band is using the other entrance. So if the back entrance wasn't accessible because of the construction, is there video of the band using the front entrance and coming up the escalators with their gear and then unloading or loading back up later in the night?
Right,
Yeah. I would love to see that.
I wish we had that info.
Yeah, because if you never have video of the band coming or going because there's not security footage inside of the bar, then it's safe to say that the band was using the back entrance.
Or at least some kind of entrance that isn't the front entrance, which is where Brian must have also gone.
And I don't know if that building, because the bar being on the second floor with an escalator almost tells me that that building isn't just for the Ugly Tuna. So are there other entrances into potentially other businesses that are in the same building that the band could have used, or that Brian could have used and kind of just like been off camera the whole time?
Right.
You know, maybe it wasn't the entrance to the Ugly Tuna that he used. Maybe it was just a completely different entrance.
Yeah,
that he managed to sneak out of.
Somebody suggested maybe he, like, what if he wandered, like, into the construction zone or whatever and even just passed the fuck out and then left the next day? Where have people gone through the entire footage of the next day watching everybody leave that place?
That's a really good question. I feel like so many of these cases, this one included, don't have enough available footage. You get those couple minutes.
It's such bullcrap. It's like, hey, there's this person that was probably murdered. Here's 5 seconds of that 24-hour day.
Yeah.
Guess he, no, it's a disappearance.
Yeah. Like Eliza Lamb, you only have her in the elevator.
Yeah.
Brian Shaffer, you only have him right next to the escalators. It's so brief.
Yeah.
And even in the last one with Missy, you never see her. You just see the person committing the crime, and there's only a very limited amount of footage of that too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's never enough available footage for anyone like us viewing it as, you know, a third party to make an accurate assumption or theory about what might have happened.
Yeah, and the thing is, the police departments are usually releasing this footage with the intent of having amateur sleuths help.
Which is, I think that's silly, just based on not having enough. There's never enough.
Right. So if they're going to do that, though, then they need to release all of the footage.
Oh, I'd love to see all of the footage.
Yeah.
I'd love to see footage of the surrounding buildings, even to see maybe if he did pass out in the construction zone that night and just managed to wander out the next day. Maybe there's footage from surrounding buildings that just have him kind of waking up and having that walk of shame. But even that, he woke up the next day, where did he go?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing.
He woke up and wandered out.
Is once we have that evidence, then we'll know what evidence we need to find afterwards.
Yep.
But without having it, all we can say is, yep, he sure was there.
Yeah, that's all we have, is that he definitely was there with Clint and Meredith.
Yeah.
And those two women, and that was it. All right, Mystery Seekers, that's all I have for you this week. I really hope you enjoyed that. I know these are kind of really sad to listen to and almost a little unsatisfying because you're always left with so many questions. But we will see you next week when Nate is here telling you all about the story of Timothy Pitson. See you then. Bye.